Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I want to start today with a quote that perfectly encapsulates the chaotic energy of the last decade of tech news.
Okay.
It's May 2021. Elon Musk is hosting Saturday Night Live. He steps out on stage, looks at the camera, and says, "I reinvented electric cars and I'm sending people to Mars in a rocket ship. Did you think I was also going to be a chill, normal dude?"
It's a great line, and honestly, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting for him.
So much heavy
It's basically a retroactive disclaimer for every controversy, every Twitter storm he's ever caused.
Right. It's him saying, look at the results, don't look at the behavior.
Yeah.
But today, we're doing the opposite.
Exactly.
We aren't looking at the stock prices of Tesla or the thrust capacity of the Starship. We are looking at the wiring of the brain that built them. We've gone through the massive Walter Isaacson biography, the psychological profiles, the interviews, and the picture that emerges is, well, it's not a business story.
No, not at all. If you strictly look at P&L statements, you miss the entire point. This is a psychological case study. The sources really suggest that you cannot separate the rockets and the cars from the trauma that birthed them.
And trauma is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days, but in this case, it feels surgically accurate.
It really does.
The core thesis we found in the research is that Musk's drive, that maniacal stop-at-nothing intensity, isn't just ambition, it's a response to pain.
It's a survival mechanism. There's a term that comes up a lot in the psychological analysis of Musk called siege mentality.
Which is the idea that he feels most comfortable when everything is on fire.
Essentially, yes. He feels most alive, most focused when a storm is raging.
Why?
And the reason is pretty heartbreaking. For the first 18 years of his life, the storm was his baseline. It was normal. So if things are calm, his nervous system literally doesn't know what to do with itself.
So he creates a storm.
He creates a storm.
Okay, that is a big claim.
Yeah.
So to understand how we get to that point, we have to rewind the tape. We have to go back to the source of the storm.
South Africa, the 1980s.
So South Africa in the 1980s.
Yeah, and context is everything here. We tend to think of Musk as this, Silicon Valley figure, but he was forged in a time and place that was just violently unstable.
Right.
1980s South Africa wasn't just politically tense, it was a cauldron of violence. The sources describe machine gun attacks and knife killings as things you just see.
There is one anecdote in the Isaacson biography that completely floored me. It's cinematic in the worst way.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Elon and his brother Kimball are young, and they're taking a train to an anti-apartheid music concert. They get off the train, and the first thing they encounter is a crowd.
And in that crowd, there's a dead body, a man lying on the ground.
With a knife still sticking out of his breast.
It's just there.
On the ground.
Just right there. And the detail that haunts me, and apparently haunted them, is that they didn't turn around and run home. They kept going to the concert. Right.
But they had to walk through a pool of blood to get there.
And Isaacson includes the sensory detail that really sticks with you. For the rest of the evening, while they were listening to the music, the blood on the soles of their sneakers made a sticky sound against the pavement.
Tap, tap, tap.
Every single step.
That is visceral.
Yeah.
You're a kid, you're at a concert, but every step is a reminder of a murder you just walked past.
It sets a tone. It establishes a baseline. Physical danger wasn't an abstract concept for them. It was ambient noise.
But the violence wasn't just random street crime. It was institutionalized.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Veld School.
Build school. When I read about this, I thought, this can't be real. This can't be legal. It's described as a wilderness camp, but that sounds way too wholesome.
Yeah. Camp implies s'mores and cabins. This was more like a paramilitary Lord of the Flies experiment.
Sanctioned by the school system.
That's the crazy part. The kids were sent out into the bush, given meager rations of food and water, and this is the key part, they were explicitly encouraged to fight over them.
Wait, the adults, the counselors, they were okay with the kids fighting for food.
They weren't just okay with it, they viewed it as the curriculum. Kimball Musk, his brother, he notes that bullying was considered a virtue.
A virtue.
Yeah. If you could beat someone up and take their water, you were showing leadership or toughness. And the counselors would sit around the fire and tell stories about kids who had died in previous years.
As warnings to be safe.
No! That's what you'd think, right? No, it was as warnings not to be, and I'm quoting the source here, weak, dumb FS.
My God.
The message was, don't be the kid who dies, be the survivor.
And Elon. I mean, looking at him now, he's a broad-shouldered guy. But back then...
He was the youngest and the smallest in his cohort. He was emotionally awkward, bookish. In an environment like Veld School, that's blood in the water.
He must have been a target.
He got pulverized. He lost 10 pounds in a single week during his first visit just from the stress and lack of food.
But, and this is where we start to see the wiring of his brain take shape, he went back. He went back a second time when he was 16.
Yes, and by then, things had changed. He'd hit a growth spurt, he was 6 feet tall, and he'd taken judo lessons.
So he was bigger?
Bigger, and he had an epiphany that would basically become his business strategy 30 years later. He realized that if a bully came at him, you couldn't just negotiate. You couldn't try to de-escalate.
You had to go nuclear.
Exactly. He realized that if he punched the bully in the nose hard as he physically could, even if he still got beaten up afterward, the bully wouldn't target him again. The cost of messing with him became too high.
So, violence as a solution to violence. An overwhelming counterstrike. It sounds a lot like how he deals with short sellers or critics today.
It's the exact same logic. Establish a baseline of do not mess with me. But while Veld School was a nightmare, the schoolyard wasn't much better.
No.
There was a specific gang mentality at his high school where new boys were hunted down.
This leads us to the staircase incident. Yeah, I think this might be the most physically damaging moment of his youth.
It's certainly the one that put him in the hospital for weeks.
So what happened?
He was just eating a sandwich during break, and a group of boys circled him. They kicked the food out of his hand, and then they threw him down a flight of concrete stairs.
Concrete stairs?
Yeah.
And they didn't stop when he hit the bottom?
No, they jumped on him. They beat him until his face was, unrecognizable. He was hospitalized for weeks. He had to have corrective surgery on his nose years later because of the damage.
Musk said something interesting about this later in life. He said, if you have never been punched in the nose, you have no idea how it affects you the rest of your life.
It rewires you. It puts you in a permanent state of scanning for threats. But here is the tragic paradox of Elon Musk's life.
What's that?
The physical violence, the blood on the sneakers, the beatings at camp, the staircase, those scars healed. The real damage, the stuff that drives the demon mode we hear about, didn't come from the bullies. It came from home.
We need to talk about Elon Musk.
The father, the patriarch. Errol is a fascinating, terrifying figure in this story. He was an engineer, a pilot, a rogue, an emerald mine investor, extremely capable, extremely charismatic.
And young Elon made a choice when he was 10 years old that he later called a fateful mistake.
A huge mistake, in his words.
His parents had split, and he chose to leave his mother, May, to go live with Errol. Why on earth would he do that?
Empathy, ironically enough. He felt sorry for his dad.
He felt sorry for him.
Yeah. Errol seemed lonely. Elon looked at the situation and saw his mom with 3 kids and his dad all alone in this big house. So he took a night train to go live with him. He wanted to fill the void.
And he realized almost immediately that he had walked into a trap.
A psychological trap. Errol had the severe Jekyll and Hyde dynamic.
What do you mean?
One minute, he's brilliant, he's teaching them engineering, he's taking them on these amazing trips. The next minute, the switch flips.
And he goes into demon mode.
The original demon mode.
The sources describe these lectures, but that word is too soft. It doesn't capture it.
It wasn't a lecture, it was a verbal assault. Errol would force Elon and Kimball to stand in front of him, sometimes for hours, late into the night, while he just tore them apart.
For hours?
For hours. He would call them worthless, pathetic, stupid. He would catalog every minor mistake they had ever made and use it to prove that they were fundamentally broken. Just relentless mental torture.
And there is a specific incident that ties the school violence and the home abuse together in a really sickening way. Remember the staircase fight?
Of course.
Elon is in the hospital, face swollen, beaten half to death. He finally gets discharged. He comes home, probably looking for some kind of safety or comfort. And what does Errol do?
This is the moment that just breaks your heart. Errol didn't comfort him.
He did the opposite.
Errol had heard about the fight, and he found out that the bully's father had committed suicide years earlier. So Errol decided that the bully was the victim.
He sided with the bully.
He turned on Elon. He screamed at him for hours, calling him an idiot, telling him that he was the one who caused the fight, that he was worthless.
While he's standing there with bandages on his face.
Yes. The person who is supposed to be your protector joins forces with the person who assaulted you.
It creates a reality where nowhere is safe.
Nowhere. The world hurts you, and home hurts you even more.
And that shadow, it never really left, did it? Even now, when Musk talks about his father, he changes.
He does. There's a famous interview with Rolling Stone. Neil Strauss conducted it. Musk is this titan of industry, right? He's launching rockets into space.
The most powerful man in the world, arguably.
And they start talking about Errol, and Musk just breaks down. He starts crying. He tells Strauss he will plan evil.
He will plan evil. That is such a heavy, almost biblical thing to say about your own father.
It's chilling.
And honestly, looking at the family history, it wasn't paranoia.
No, it wasn't. We don't need to get into all the tabloids, but the sources confirm that Errol eventually fathered a child with his own stepdaughter, a girl he had raised since she was 4 years old.
Which for Elon was just the final confirmation. It validated everything he felt about the darkness in his father. But let's pivot to the impact of this.
Okay.
You're a kid. You're living in a war zone at school and a psychological torture chamber at home. How do you survive that without cracking?
According to Justine Musk, his first wife, you survive by shutting off, she calls it the emotional shut-off valve.
How does that work? What does she mean by that?
Well, think about the mechanics of feeling. If feeling fear or sadness results in you getting overwhelmed by the abuse, you learn to suppress the feeling. You numb it.
You build a wall.
You build a wall. But the problem with the human brain is that you can't selectively numb emotions. You can't just turn off pain and keep joy or empathy.
So if you numb the bad stuff...
You numb everything.
So to survive Errol, he had to kill his own empathy.
In a way, yes. And this explains so much about the Elon Musk we see today. It makes him a risk-seeking innovator because he has suppressed his fear response. He literally doesn't feel risk the way we do.
But it also makes him callous.
Incredibly callous.
Right.
When he's firing people or demanding impossible deadlines, he isn't feeling their pain because he learned a long time ago that feeling pain is a weakness.
This connects to the discussion about Asperger's as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He has self-diagnosed as being on the spectrum.
He has, and his mother agrees. This adds another layer. You have the neurodivergence taking things literally, difficulty with social cues, mixed with severe complex trauma. It's a potent combination.
So when Musk feels threatened in business...
His brain doesn't act like a CEO. It acts like the child standing in front of Errol. It reverts to that baseline state of threat.
This is the demon mode that Grimes talks about.
Exactly. Grimes, who has 3 children with him, describes demon mode as him retreating into a storm in his brain. He becomes unpleasant, hard, unfeeling.
But, and here is the uncomfortable truth that makes this story so difficult, she also admits that demon mode is what gets the job done.
Yes, she does.
Right, she says that without demon mode, there are no rockets to Mars.
It raises a really tough question. Is the toxicity a bug in the system, or is it the feature that makes the system work? It seems that his ability to detach from human feeling allows him to push for things that a normal, empathetic person would say are impossible.
So we have the pain, we have the hardening. But plenty of people are traumatized and don't try to colonize Mars. Where does the specific mission come from?
It came from a void. A deep existential void.
In his teenage years.
Yes. In his teens, Musk hit a massive existential crisis. He was depressed. He had stripped away religion. He was the kid in Sunday school asking how Jesus could feed the crowd because, mass cannot be created from nothing.
Classic engineer brain. That violates the laws of physics.
Right. But once you strip away religion, you're left with, why are we here? He felt that physics could explain how the universe worked, but it couldn't explain why.
He was staring into the abyss.
And he was terrified that life was meaningless.
And the thing that pulled him out of the dark wasn't therapy, and it wasn't a guru. It was a sci-fi comedy.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I cannot overstate how important this book is to his worldview. It's foundational.
I love that book.
Yeah.
But I mostly remember the jokes, the towel, the Vogons. What did he take from it?
He latched onto the central computer, deep thought. In the book, the computer spends millions of years calculating the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything.
And it finally gives the answer, 42.
Which is a joke. It's meaningless.
That's a punchline.
It's a punchline. But for Musk, it was a revelation. He realized that the answer 42 was useless because they didn't know the right question. The lesson he took was, the universe is the answer. The hard part is figuring out what questions to ask.
Okay, so connect the dots for me. How do we get from asking the right questions to building rockets?
Musk concluded that the only way to figure out the right questions to solve the riddle of existence is to expand the scope and scale of human consciousness.
What does that mean, expand the scope?
We need to be out there among the stars to figure it out. If we stay on one planet or a single point of failure, If an asteroid hits or we nuke ourselves, the light of consciousness goes out and we never figure out the question. The game is over.
So Mars isn't about real estate. It's a backup drive for humanity.
Exactly. It's about preserving the capacity to understand the universe. That's why he founded SpaceX. And it's why he founded Neuralink, to protect our brains from AI, which he views as another existential threat to consciousness. It's all a cohesive philosophy.
Protect the light of consciousness so we can find out what 42 means.
That's the mission.
It's grand. It's cosmic. While other CEOs are looking at quarterly earnings, he's looking at the heat death of the universe.
It's a completely different scale.
But there is another fuel source here besides philosophy. We need to talk about his addiction to risk.
The Haldeman gene. This comes from his mother's side.
His grandfather.
Joshua Haldeman, a total wild card. A daredevil flyer, a chiropractor who packed up his family and moved to the South African bush on a whim. His motto was, live dangerously carefully.
Which is a bit of an oxymoron.
It is. He used to fly a single-engine plane across continents without a radio or GPS, just maps and a compass.
And tragically, he died doing it.
He did. He hit power lines during a scouting flight and crashed. Elon was only 3 when that happened. The lesson etched into the family DNA was, real adventures involve lethal risk.
And Elon seems to amplify that. Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder, said something really insightful about this.
Oh, yeah.
He said most entrepreneurs are risk mitigators. They try to take a crazy idea and make it safe.
But Musk is a risk amplifier. He wants to burn the boats. He constantly puts himself in situations where retreat is impossible.
The ultimate example of this has to be the 2008 crisis. I think people forget how close the whole empire came to collapsing.
It's razor close. We're talking hours away from total failure. It's Christmas 2008. The global economy is melting down.
And both of his companies are dying.
Both. Tesla is out of money. SpaceX has failed 3 launches in a row. Musk has a little bit of money left from the PayPal sale, about $30 million.
And he has 2 children bleeding out on the floor.
Right. He faces a Sophie's choice. He can put all the money into Tesla and SpaceX dies. Or all of it into SpaceX and Tesla dies. A rational investor would save one.
So what did he do?
He split the money. He put half in Tesla, half in SpaceX.
Which logically means both should have died. That's not enough money for either.
It was a suicide mission. He risked going to zero. And it came down to the wire. Literally hours before payroll bounced, NASA called with a $1.6 billion contract for SpaceX, and investors came through for Tesla. But here's the problem with that outcome.
What's that?
It worked.
It reinforced the bad behavior. If you bet the house and win, you're going to bet the house again.
Precisely. It creates a feedback loop. But his friends have noticed a pattern they call the open loop warning.
What does that mean? An open loop?
Think of a soldier coming back from the front lines. Silence feels dangerous. If there's no gunfire, they get paranoid. They start cleaning their weapon, looking for threats. Musk is the same.
So calm is a threat.
Calm is a threat. When his companies are stable, he gets restless. He feels like he's missing something. So he opens a new loop of drama.
He lights a match just to have a fire to fight.
Exactly. Look at the timeline. The pedo guy tweet where he attacked that cave rescuer in Thailand, that happened during a calm period for Tesla. The funding secured tweet, calm period.
Twitter acquisition.
The biggest one of all. Tesla was printing money, SpaceX was flying, he couldn't sit in peace. He creates chaos because chaos is the only environment he knows how to navigate. It feels like home.
And that chaos bleeds directly into how he manages people. He calls it being hardcore.
Hardcore, it's his favorite adjective. And it manifests as a maniacal sense of urgency. He doesn't just want things done fast, he wants them done physically faster than should be possible.
There's a story about Tom Mueller, one of the co-founders of SpaceX, a brilliant engineer.
One of the best in the world.
He presents a schedule for building a new engine. Musk looks at it and says, cut it in half.
And Mueller pushes back. He says, Elon, we already cut it in half. This is the aggressive schedule.
And Musk's response?
He just stares at him and says, I don't care. Cut it in half again.
It sounds impossible. It sounds abusive.
It is often both. But this is where we have to talk about the idiot index.
I love this concept, even if the name is, a little mean. How does it work?
It's actually a brilliant piece of first principles thinking. Musk calculates the cost of the raw materials for a part versus the cost of the finished part from a supplier.
Okay.
So let's say an aluminum casing costs $1,000 to buy from a supplier, but the raw aluminum only costs $100.
So the ratio is 10 to 1.
Right. Musk looks at that delta, that $900 gap, and says, that's the idiot index. That money is going to inefficiency, bureaucracy, and bad design. If the index is too high, he considers the engineers idiots and orders them to make the part themselves from scratch.
To get the cost down to the raw material price.
Exactly. It's brutal, but it forces them to ignore industry standards and just look at the physics.
It does. But the human cost is massive.
It's huge. He lacks empathy in these moments. The sources compare him to Steve Jobs and his reality distortion field, but Musk is even rougher.
How so?
He treats employees like he treats components. If a part doesn't work, you swap it out. If a person slows down the algorithm, you fire them. No sentimentality.
There's a quote from Justine again that sums this up perfectly.
What's that one?
She said, "He's a bear. You can romp with him, but in the end, you're dealing with a bear."
And the employees feel those claws. He has rage-fired people for giving the wrong answer in a meeting. He has humiliated executives in front of their teams.
And he instituted the surge, where he expects everyone to sleep on the factory floor.
Because he is sleeping on the factory floor.
He martyrs himself and expects everyone else to join the religion.
He treats himself as a unit of production, so he sees no reason why you shouldn't be one too. He validates the abuse he suffered from his father by inflicting a different kind of it on his companies, essentially proving to himself that this toughness is what gets results.
And the annoying thing is, he has results.
He has the result.
The only reusable rockets. The dominant EV company, Starlink.
That's the trap. If he was just a jerk who failed, we'd ignore him. But he's a joke who changed the world, so we have to ask, is the abuse necessary?
Let's zoom out to the final picture. We have the cosmic mission, Mars, saving consciousness, and we have the personal reality, the loneliness, the demon mode. Is Mars really a mission, or is it an escape?
That is the ultimate psychological question, isn't it? Is he trying to save humanity? Or is he trying to get as far away from Earth and the pain associated with it as physically possible?
He has built a fortress of work around himself.
He has. And there is a tragic irony here. Musk talks constantly about humanity. He loves humanity in the macro abstract sense. He wants to save the species.
But he struggles with humans in the micro sense.
Exactly. He can't relate to the individual sitting across from him. He craves kinship. He hates being alone, which is why he's a serial monogamist and has so many children. But he lacks the tools for individual empathy.
He wants to save the world, but he might want everyone around him to do it.
It's a real possibility.
It brings us back to that SNL quote. Did you think I was going to be a chill, normal dude?
Isaacson has a concept he calls molded out of faults.
I like that.
He suggests that great innovators are often risk-seeking man-children who resist potty training. They are molded by their traumas. They aren't great despite their damage. They are great because of it.
That is a hard pill to swallow. We like to think success comes from being balanced and healthy.
And Musk is the counter-argument to that. He is the argument that progress sometimes comes from the unreasonable, the damaged, and the obsessive.
It reminds me of another one of Musk's jokes about needing Kevlar boots because he shoots himself in the foot so often.
He does. But he also shoots rockets into orbit.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question. When you see a Tesla drive by or you watch a Starship launch, ask yourself, would we have any of this if Elon Musk had a happy childhood?
Or does the progress of the species sometimes require the torture of the individual?
It's a haunting thought. While he tries to save the world, the child inside is still standing in front of his father, waiting for the yelling to stop. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
We'll see you next time.